Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. That's right. I want you to position your body in a way where you can become even more comfortable. Notice that as you breathe in through your nose, you're becoming aware of any tension around your neck and your shoulders, any muscles in your face, and just decide that this is a good time to release feelings of tension that are not necessary. As you breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, on the outward breath, allow feelings of tension, stress and worry to leave your body as you exhale. That's right. I want you to create an image in your mind of a bright, vibrant color. Maybe pink, yellow, orange. And just decide that this bright, vibrant color represents resourceful relaxation. And imagine as you breathe in that you're breathing in this glowing, bright, vibrant color that represents this resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, imagine a darker color, maybe gray, cloudy, shadowy, leaving your body in your outward breath, representing tension, stress, anxiety, leaving your body in your outward breath. And notice that when you extend the outward breath, more of that tension, stress, and anxiety leaves your body. And on the next inward breath, just imagine more of that vibrant, bright color going in, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. Eyelids getting heavier and heavier, releasing tension around the eyelids, the eyebrows. On your forehead, just release that tension now. And as your body relaxes, I want you to create an image in your mind of a villa in a town in France. Perhaps you can imagine this villa from above, like a bird's eye view, or maybe like you're seeing it from afar. And I want you to imagine that you're there in that villa, perhaps by the side of a swimming pool. I want you to notice the brightness of the sun, seeing the sunshine, perhaps seeing it glisten off the surface of the pool, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, continuing to breathe in and breathe out, feeling more and more relaxed with each and every breath. And I want you to imagine there is a sun lounger by the side of that pool. And imagine that you're just resting on that sun lounger. There's something about the freshness of the air, the warmth of the sun on your skin, maybe the smell of plants or trees or flowers around you. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and with each descending number, you're going to feel 10% deeper and deeper relaxed there by that pool. 10. Just releasing any tension around your eyes. That's it. Just release that tension completely. 9. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation and releasing tension there from your forehead and your jaw. That's it. 8. Feeling and becoming aware of any tension in your neck and your shoulders. And just imagining that tension melts away like an ice cream held by a child under hot sun. Feel that tension melt away. 7, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed all the way down your arms. That's it. All the way to the tips of your fingers, deeper and deeper relaxed now. 6, as you breathe in, imagine your nostrils, your mouth, around your windpipe. All of that is just relaxing now, enabling you to take deeper and deeper breaths, which in turn make you deeper and deeper relaxed. For your lungs relaxing, 6 goes to 5. Allow your stomach to relax, your lungs to relax. All the way down 4 to your gut. Allow the muscles within your intestines all to just release any feelings of anxiety and stress. Just release that now, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. 3, going into your legs. Legs feeling limp, loose, heavy. Down into your calf muscles. And very soon you will drift off into a sleep. An imaginative sleep just in your mind. 2 and then 1, just imagine what it would be like to fall asleep on a sun lounger by the side of a pool and to go inwards. And I want you to think of yourself as a mother, as a parent. And I want you to imagine that as a parent you make choices on a spectrum. I want you to imagine these choices could represent from 1 to 3. Are you being a bad parent, actively making bad choices? And then just imagine 4, 5, or 6. You being a neutral, not a great parent, but certainly not a bad parent. And then imagine what it means to you to be a good parent, making good choices. And you don't have to make huge amounts of effort to do this because it's something that you want to do. And sometimes you're intentional. But even when you're not, the majority of your choices tend to be good choices. Considerate, thoughtful, understanding. And connect into that feeling that you get when you make good choices by being a mother, by being a parent. You make good choices and it makes you feel good. And every now and then, there might be a mistake or an error of judgment and the choice wasn't so good. Maybe it had an unintended consequence. And I want you to think about how you learn from that to enable you to make better choices going forward. I want you to think of yourself as a partner in a relationship. That on this scale of 1 to 10, making bad choices that would be detrimental to the relationship would be on that level of 1 to 3. And I think of the things that you could do but choose not to, that would represent being not the best partner. And then imagine that relationships can improve and relationships can get worse. And if you imagine doing just enough to get by in your relationship, a level 4 or 5 or 6, it doesn't harm the relationship, but it doesn't make it any better. And then I want you to think of the things that you did in a relationship that improved the relationship, that made a stronger connection, that gave you feelings of wonderful feelings. And consider that a 7, 8, or 9 level of choices that you've been making. And notice that when you made choices like that, it felt good for the other person, but it also felt good for you. And you could choose to make worse choices. But why would you do so when it feels good to make these good choices? I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that you're driving on a motorway to a desirable destination. And for you, this desirable destination is you in the future. You in the future where you like yourself more. You in the future where you feel happy. You're driving to this destination in the future where you've got high energy levels and you can do the things you want to do. Imagine you can see yourself at that destination with high levels of self-esteem and confidence. Imagine seeing yourself at that destination wearing clothes that you haven't worn for a while and they fit you well. You look good and it looks good to see you looking that way, just knowing that that version of you is at a destination that you're driving towards. Perhaps there's a version of you wearing a bikini while on holiday, brimming with confidence. And I want you to imagine that on this motorway there is 3 lanes. The slower lane, the middle lane, and the overtaking lane. And I want you to get a sense that the speed at which you get to your destination is proportionate to the quality of choices that you're making. And on a long journey, occasionally you might take a break at a service station. And I want you to accept that there are choices that you could make that are level 4, 5, or 6 choices that represent having a break. And you know that when you're at a service station, you're not making progress towards your destination, but sometimes the break is necessary to reset, to stretch your legs before you continue on the journey. I want you to get a sense, though, that you could always choose to turn around and drive the other way in the opposite direction of this wonderful destination. And I want you to think what that would be like. What kind of foods would you have to eat in order to drive the wrong way to your destination? What time of day would you have to eat them? What kind of things would you need to snack on? And I want you to create the same association, the same emotion as to what it would mean to be a bad mother, while simultaneously imagining making these choices. Imagine snacking while being a cruel mother, a neglectful mother while you're eating these things. I want you to imagine that you're eating these kind of food, these bad choice foods, getting a similar emotion to how you would feel if you were an unpleasant partner, trying to cause destruction in a relationship, to make things worse, and realize that choices are just choices. They can take you towards a desirable future or away from it. And if your unconscious mind has now connected the dots between your ability to make great choices in so many other areas of your life, and to map that across into this new area where you just get to make healthy choices about what you eat, when you eat, and how you eat, just let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine that you're back in that service station, pulling out, driving towards this destination where you like yourself more, you feel happy, high energy levels, seeing yourself wearing the clothes you want to wear, particularly while you're on holiday. And I want you to imagine that there are choices that represent slow but steady progress. And I want you to think of 3 things that you can do consistently that make slow, steady progress towards that destination. Maybe it's meal size and the portion size. Maybe it's the choice of what food you eat. or how fast you eat it. Or maybe it's deciding what you're no longer willing to do, reducing snacks, maybe only eating when you're hungry. But just decide 3 things that represent slow, steady progress. And if you know what those would be and feel that they are achievable for you to do them, let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine moving your car into the middle lane where you're making slightly faster progress. And I want you to think of 3 things that you would do in your life that represent quicker progress towards this desirable destination. Maybe it's not just what you eat, but how active you are. Maybe it's certain new choices that become habits. Maybe it's a desire to eat more salads and vegetables and dramatically reduce the amount of processed foods. But I want you to decide what is actually doable for you. Just 3 things that mean that you're making more progress than you would be if you were in that slow lane of the motorway. And when you know what you do, just let me know by nodding your head. And then I want you to imagine there is a slow vehicle in front of you. But there is plenty of space in that overtaking lane, and I want you to imagine indicating and pulling into that overtaking lane and feeling the pressure of your leg on the accelerator, feeling that the vehicle is speeding up. And I want you to think of 3 things that you would do that can really supercharge your progress to make rapid progress, but not being perfect, towards this destination that's desirable for you. I want you to think of 3 specific things that you could do that represent much quicker progress. And when you know what they would be, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to accept the suggestion that it's not how quickly you get to the destination. There's been wonderful destinations that you've drove to in the past that something happened outside of your control. Maybe a traffic jam or an accident that slowed down your progress. But that almost didn't matter when you got to your destination, because you got to your destination. I want you to accept the suggestion that there are so many things that you can do that represent good choices that will facilitate progress. This progress will train your body to use body fat as a source of energy. You don't need food for energy because you have thousands of calories stored in body fat. What you do need energy is the psychic energy, the psychological energy. And you can activate that desire, that energetic desire to get to the destination, just by thinking about the person you want to be. There is calorific energy, and then there is energy that is vitality. And you could eat fruits and vegetables and salads, and even if there isn't much calories in these, would make you feel brimming with energy. Your primary reasons for eating are for nutrition and pleasure, but you will get more pleasure from the foods that take you towards the destination than those foods that take you away from that destination. And every now and then, you'll take a break. You'll pull in at the service station, and while you won't be losing weight, you won't be gaining weight either. Just enough time, perhaps a weekend or a day or two, just to reset before you'll have that desire to go back on your journey towards a place that you really want to get to. And you've had journeys in your life where you took a wrong turn or you missed an exit. But you didn't think because you missed one exit or took one wrong turn that you should not bother going to your destination. You just accepted that it might take a little bit longer to get to your destination. I want you to imagine that there will be times on your journey that you will take the wrong turn, that you'll miss the exit. And when that happens, you will have this similar feeling of, I just need to get back on track. And a belief that getting back on track simply means making better choices. If your unconscious mind is ready to embark on a journey to a desirable destination, knowing that you already know how to drive, you're just driving a slightly different vehicle, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine what it would be like when you get to that destination. See that version of you. Slim, confident, happy, full of confidence and self-esteem, wearing the clothes that you would want yourself to wear when you get to that destination. And I want you to accept the suggestion that there isn't any food that exists that would make you feel better than arriving at this destination. And therefore, decisions and choices that take you closer to this destination will in and of themselves make you feel good. Therefore, making the journey just as pleasurable as the destination. I want you to imagine that this is just thoughts within thoughts. As you're sat on a sun lounger by the side of a pool, in a villa in France, imagine getting up out of that sun lounger, taking a dip in the pool, but feeling that new way of thinking feels intuitively natural to you because you think this way about so many other areas of your life. When you know how to swim, you couldn't forget it if you tried. When you know how to ride a bike, you can't forget that. And you already know how to make great choices and to learn from setbacks. And these are now activated to help get you making progress towards your destination. I want you to return to the present, taking all of those thoughts, ideas, and resources with you. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in your own physical body right now. As very soon I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken, feeling resourceful, motivated, but feeling that this is a destination that you know how to get to in a way that already aligns with how you naturally think. There is nothing you can't eat. There's just lots of things that you don't particularly want to eat. Perfection is the enemy here. Progress and good choices is what will get you to that destination. And you will awaken with a desire to make immediate choices that create momentum towards that destination, starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.